Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Imagine the first dawn of humankind, when the world was still young, when humans had not yet learned to build cities of stone, had not yet written their names into clay, had not yet transformed the metal sleeping inside the mountains into blades. The sky at that time was not merely a place of clouds and stars. It was the sacred boundary between fragile mortal beings and ancient powers watching them from above. But then, one angel crossed that boundary, not to save humanity with light, but to give them something more dangerous than any curse: knowledge. That angel's name was Azazel. In the darkness of ancient legends, Azazel is not merely a fallen being. He is the embodiment of a terrifying question. What happens when humans are given power before they possess the wisdom to control it? If an angel teaches mankind how to forge weapons, how to adorn themselves, how to seduce, how to turn the world into a tool for their desires, where does sin truly begin? With the angel who taught? With the humans who learned? Or with the very moment knowledge becomes power? In many mystical traditions, especially stories surrounding fallen angels and the era before the Great Flood, Azazel appears as one of the most frightening figures, not because he is simply a horned demon or a shadow that brings disaster. Azazel is terrifying because he once belonged to the heavens. He was once a being of sacred order. And because he once stood close to the light, his fall becomes even more tragic. A darkness born from a place that once knew no darkness is always more chilling than any monster. Before Azazel became a symbol of sin, let us return to an ancient age within religious and mythological imagination. It was the age when angels watched over the world, observing humanity as it grew like a weak child beneath the sun. Humans feared storms, trembled before the night, prayed when sickness and hunger came. They lived within a vast natural world where every mountain seemed like a silent god, every forest like a maze of spirits, every lightning strike like a judgment from heaven. In that world, humanity was small, fragile, and almost harmless before forces greater than itself. But then the watching angels, the Watchers, gazed down upon the earthly realm for too long. At first, their gaze may have been duty, but over time, duty turned into curiosity. Curiosity became desire, and desire became rebellion. They saw that humans were not merely lesser creatures. They saw beauty, life, longing, pain, laughter, tears, and something the heavens did not possess in the same way mortals did: fragility. And that fragility had a strange allure, like a small flame, powerful enough to make the sky bend down to look. Azazel was among those angels who crossed that forbidden line. They descended to earth, joined themselves with humanity, and according to many legends, gave birth to generations born between heaven and earth. Violent, gigantic beings known as the Nephilim. But Azazel did more than contribute to the mingling of the divine and the mortal. What made his name a dark mark in ancient memory was what he taught mankind. He gave them the secrets of metal, war, beauty, seduction, and the arts that could change how humans saw themselves and one another. Before Azazel, metal may have been nothing more than something cold hidden inside stone. After Azazel, it became knives, swords, armor, arrows, and spears. Imagine the first moment humans saw red ore glowing inside a furnace, watched stone melt like the blood of the mountain, then harden into something sharp enough to tear flesh, split bone, and pierce the skin of their own kind. That was not merely the birth of weapons. It was the moment humans discovered that nature was not only something to live with, but something that could be forced, melted, reshaped, and turned into an instrument of will. On a deeper level, The story of Azazel teaching humans to forge weapons is not only about ancient technology. It is a metaphor for the dangerous coming of age of humankind. A child holding a stone may throw it to hunt. But when that child holds a sword, he begins to understand that power does not lie only in muscle, but in the ability to multiply destruction. Weapons allow the weak to kill the strong, allow fear to become law, allow violence to stop being a momentary instinct and become an art, a technique, a system. And here, Azazel becomes one of the oldest images of the dangerous teacher. He does not directly kill all of humanity. He does not need to. He only needs to teach them how to kill one another more efficiently. That is a kind of evil far more subtle than a monster leaping out of the darkness. A monster can only kill with its claws. But one who transmits destructive knowledge can make an entire civilization build its own forges, sharpen its own blades, raise its own battlefields, and then call all of it glory. But Azazel is not only linked to weapons. In some legends, he also teaches humans how to make jewelry, how to use cosmetics, how to decorate the face, how to create artificial beauty. At first, this may sound lighter than war. But in the ancient mind, this too was a form of sin, because it touched the fear that humans could hide their true nature, could use appearance to seduce, deceive, manipulate, and awaken desire. The same hand that taught humans to forge swords also taught them to polish the face. One creates violence, the other creates enchantment. Both are power. This makes Azazel more complex than a simple dark god. He does not only represent war, he also represents the awakening of abilities that allow humanity to step beyond its original natural life. Weapons are external power. Jewelry and cosmetics are symbolic power. A sword can force another person to kneel. A crafted beauty can make another person walk willingly toward it. In both cases, Azazel teaches humanity a dark lesson. The world can be controlled, not only through strength, but through image, desire, and illusion. That is why the story of Azazel remains haunting even today. It is not merely an old tale about angels and giants. It feels like a prophetic myth about human civilization. Every time humans invent a new tool, they stand once again before Azazel's question. Whom will this tool save? And whom will it kill? Fire can warm a home, but it can also burn a city. Metal can become a plowshare, but it can also become a sword. An image can inspire, but it can also manipulate a crowd. Knowledge is never entirely pure when it falls into the hands of a creature still driven by fear, ambition, and pride. Within the broader picture of mythology, Azazel is also tied to the idea of the world's corruption before the Great Flood. When fallen angels taught forbidden things, humanity did not become wiser. Instead, the world sank deeper into violence, desire, and chaos. The Nephilim, descendants born between heaven and earth, are often described as destructive, consuming, domineering giants. They are symbols of power that does not belong where it has been placed. They are not fully human, nor fully divine. They are the living consequence of a broken order. Here, the legend does not simply say that angels sinned because they desired mortal women. It speaks of a deeper fear, the fear that boundaries have been broken. Heaven and earth are no longer separate. The sacred and the mortal are mixed together. Divine knowledge falls into the mud. Beauty becomes a trap. Strength becomes violence. Beings born from transgression do not bring a golden age, but open the path to ruin. That is the central tragedy of Azazel. He does not fall alone. He drags the world into the abyss with him. But if we look closely, Azazel is not entirely alien to humanity. On the contrary, He fascinates us because he resembles something very real within ourselves. Humans have always wanted to know forbidden things. From the myth of Prometheus stealing fire for mankind, to the story of Adam and Eve eating the forbidden fruit, to legends of sorcerers opening books of magic, human culture has always been haunted by the moment a boundary is crossed. Forbidden knowledge is always more seductive than permitted knowledge, because it promises that behind the forbidden door lies power, freedom, and the possibility of becoming more than oneself. Azazel can therefore be seen as the dark mirror of Prometheus. Prometheus gives fire, a symbol of civilization, technique, and life. Azazel gives weapons, ornaments, and secrets that distort moral order. But the boundary between these two figures is not always clear. The fire of Prometheus can also burn. The sword of Azazel can also protect. This ambiguity is what makes the myth profound. It does not say that knowledge itself is evil. It says that knowledge, when separated from responsibility, becomes a curse. And perhaps that is why Azazel is punished in such a particularly brutal way in many traditions. He is not merely defeated in a fiery battle and made to vanish. He is bound, cast into the wilderness, buried in darkness, waiting for the day of judgment. That image is powerful. An angel who once flew across the heavens, now imprisoned beneath stone, in the desert, in a barren land without life. It is not only physical punishment, it is symbolic reversal. The one who once brought knowledge down to earth is now stripped of movement, freedom, and every ability to continue spreading his influence. The desert, a place often associated with Azazel in religious imagination, is not an accidental setting. The desert is emptiness, where humans confront hunger, thirst, mirage, and the voices within themselves. In ancient cultures, the desert was often the edge of order, where the city ended and chaos began. When Azazel is driven there, he becomes a symbol of sin, expelled from the community, but never truly gone. Sin is not destroyed. It is sent to the margins, hidden, sealed away, yet still exists like a shadow waiting to return. This leads us to another layer of meaning. Azazel is not only the one who causes sin, he is also a vessel for sin. In some traditions, the name Azazel is connected to a ritual in which the sins of a community are transferred onto a goat and driven into the wilderness. From there, the image of the scapegoat becomes an extremely powerful symbol. A community commits wrongs, then places those wrongs onto another living being and sends it away, as if darkness could be expelled through ritual alone. But the frightening question is this: when the goat disappears into the desert, does sin truly disappear, or has it merely been given another name? On a psychological level, Azazel can be understood as the darkness humans want to separate from themselves. When war happens, people often want to blame an outside force. Demons tempted us, fallen angels taught us, fate forced us, history pushed us forward. But the myth of Azazel is more complex than that. He teaches, but humans learn. He gives secrets, but humans use them. He opens the door, but humanity walks through it. Therefore, Azazel is both tempter and mirror, reflecting humanity's complicity with its own desires. Think of the first sword. It may have been created from the teaching of a fallen angel. But the moment it is raised to kill another person, the hand holding it is human. That is where the legend becomes painful. It does not allow us to comfortably say that evil comes entirely from outside. Azazel may be the source of a dark secret, but the spread of sin requires the choices of thousands, millions of human beings. One lesson may begin a disaster, but the repetition of choices turns disaster into history. In modern culture, Azazel is often transformed into a demon, a fallen angel, a lord of darkness, or a manipulator behind war. But if we see him only as a villain, we miss the true weight of the myth. Azazel is not memorable because he can destroy the world with magic. He is memorable because he represents the moment civilization and sin are born almost at the same time. When humans learn to forge metal, they do not only build tools for labor, they also create weapons. When humans learn to beautify themselves, they do not only honor the body, they also create illusion, competition, and the desire to possess. This is what makes Azazel strangely fitting for our age. Today, we do not need a fallen angel teaching us how to forge swords inside a mountain cave. We have laboratories, factories, algorithms, social networks, artificial intelligence, autonomous weapons, image editing technology, and systems capable of shaping the thoughts of billions. But the question remains exactly the same as in ancient times. Are we receiving gifts that exceed our moral capacity? Every new technology carries within it a shadow of Azazel. Not because technology is demonic, but because power always tests the weakest part of the human soul. A society can be proud of creating powerful tools, but the more powerful a tool becomes, the more clearly it reveals the nature of the one using it. A hammer in the hand of a builder can raise a home. In the hand of an angry person, it can become a weapon. An algorithm can connect people, but it can also spread addiction, hatred, and illusion. An image can beautify memory, but it can also turn truth into theater. If Azazel appeared in the modern world, perhaps he would not need a forge. He would only need to whisper beside each new invention, "Let us see what you can do with this power." But Azazel's tragedy also lies in the possibility that he may not have seen himself as evil in the beginning. This is what makes fallen angel myths so fascinating. Many fallen beings do not begin with a desire to destroy. They begin with pride, curiosity, the desire to interfere, the desire to elevate humanity, or the desire to possess what does not belong to them. Perhaps Azazel did not think that teaching humans to forge weapons would lead to oceans of blood. Perhaps he saw only the beauty of technique, the power of fire, the pride of watching a weak creature bend nature to its will. But the greatest evil often does not begin with the laughter of demons. It begins with a reason that sounds logical. For this reason, Azazel is the image of a fall through knowledge, not merely through desire. He shows that some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. Once humans know how to forge swords, they cannot be made to forget the sword. Once they know the power of appearance, they cannot return to absolute innocence. Once they know they can dominate through tools, images, and fear, history cannot return to the original garden. The loss of innocence is irreversible, and Azazel is the angel standing at that threshold, holding the black flame of enlightenment. In many ancient stories, after the world sinks into violence, the cries of humanity rise to heaven. The loyal angels look down and see the earth filled with blood. It is no longer the young world entrusted to growth. It has become a land poisoned by secrets given at the wrong time. And when punishment comes, Azazel is held responsible for much of that corruption. This reveals a very ancient moral idea. The one who teaches dangerous things must bear responsibility not only for his own actions, but also for the spreading consequences of the knowledge he gives. That idea still echoes in the modern world. Is an inventor responsible for how their invention is used? Can the creator of weapons say that they merely made the technology, while war is the fault of those who use it? Can the creator of tools that manipulate perception wash their hands when society becomes divided? The myth of Azazel asked this question long before humans had modern language for technological ethics. It reminds us that knowledge is not innocent simply because it is intelligent. And the one who gives power cannot always hide behind the beauty of progress. However, if we conclude only that Azazel must be cursed, the story becomes too simple. He is also proof that humans always live in the tension between the desire to rise and the fear of falling. We want knowledge, but fear its price. We want power, but fear being deformed by power. We want to become more beautiful, stronger, smarter, more immortal, yet fear that along the way, we will lose the most human part of ourselves. Azazel is the name given to the fear that civilization does not only save us, but may also make us more dangerous than any wild beast. The image of an angel bound in darkness because he taught humanity forbidden secrets, therefore carries an almost tragic weight. He is the sinner, but he is also the bearer of progress's curse. He gives tools, then is condemned by the cosmic order because those tools open the way to chaos. He is like a figure standing between two worlds, too close to humanity to still belong fully to heaven, yet too sacred to become an ordinary demon. His existence is a crack between light and darkness, between enlightenment and destruction, between gift and sin. Perhaps that is why Azazel continues to appear in fantasy, dark mythology, comics, films, and games. He carries a deeply cinematic energy: the fallen angel, the buried secret, the desert, chains, the forge, blood, fire, giants, civilizations before the Great Flood. But beneath all that grand imagery lies a very human obsession. We do not only fear the monster out there, we fear the teacher who taught us how to become monsters. And more terrifying still, we fear that we have been excellent students. If we imagine Azazel in a cinematic scene, perhaps we would see a red desert beneath a gray sky, where the wind passes through the rocks like whispers from prehistory. Beneath the earth, an angel is bound by ancient chains, his scorched wings covered in dust, his eyes still holding the light of one who once stood before the throne of heaven. Above the ground, humanity continues to build cities, forge swords, raise temples, invent machines, write laws, break laws, make war, and pray for forgiveness. And somewhere deep beneath the stone, Azazel may still be listening, saying nothing, because his lesson has echoed through every age. The story of Azazel, therefore, is not only the origin of sin in an ancient sense. It is the story of the moment humanity receives power and loses its innocence. It tells us that sin does not always enter the world in an ugly form. Sometimes it comes as a lesson, an invention, a gift, a secret that makes our eyes shine with wonder. It does not force us to kneel. It simply places a tool in our hands and waits to see what we will do. And perhaps that waiting is the most frightening part of all. Because in the end, Azazel does not live only in legend. He lives in every age where humans believe they are wise enough to control what they have just created. He lives in the sound of a hammer striking metal, in the cold light of a laboratory, in the glowing screen at midnight, in perfectly edited images, in weapons given names cleaner than war. He is the shadow behind the sentence, "We can do it." And the question the myth leaves behind is, but should we? And looking back, perhaps the greatest tragedy is not that Azazel taught humans to forge weapons. The greatest tragedy is that after thousands of years, humanity continues to prove that the lesson has never ended. We are still fascinated by power. We still decorate power with beautiful names. We still call ambition progress, control order, destruction necessity. Azazel may have been chained in the wilderness, But what he gave to humanity escaped all chains long ago. Thank you all for watching today's video. If you enjoy stories about fallen angels, dark mythology, ancient secrets, and fantasy worlds with an epic atmosphere, continue joining us in the videos to come. But for now, ask yourself this: if one day someone gave humanity knowledge powerful enough to change the world, would we use it to build a new heaven, or merely forge a greater sword for the darkness within ourselves? Goodbye, and I'll see you again on the next journey.